Why are Japanese people so skinny? Now, someone who's been asked, why are you so skinny? When I came to America, I realized that habits I picked up from Japan have really impacted my life. So if you're actually curious on why the obesity rate in Japan is so low, here are 5 habits that I picked up that keep Japanese people so skinny. Habit 1, when in doubt, just eat Japanese food. I want you to close your eyes and think of some of your favorite Japanese food that comes up. I'm sure you're thinking about sushi, takoyaki, yakisoba, of course ramen, and those are considered fast food in Japan. But you might be saying, Matsu, those are not healthy. But if you compare it with other fast foods outside of Japan like Mickey D's Big Mac, Pizza Hut crusted toast, Pizza Hut cheesy crust, Taco Bell 12-pack cheesy gordita crunch. It's definitely much healthier. You could see what food it is. And I personally do think it tastes better. So when you're in doubt, you need a fast food, just get a miso ramen instead. Not the cup noodle though. Habit 2, follow the hara hachibume philosophy. So in Japan, there's a phrase called hara hachibume, which means eat until you're 80% full, with hara meaning stomach, hachibume meaning like 80% on the 8 proportion mark. And I do think this Japanese habit and culture is more important than you think because it applies to every layer of Japanese culture. Like, of course, during daily meals in a typical household, it would be 80% hara hachibume, typically with a little pickled roasted vegetables, a little bit of rice, fish or a thinly sliced meat being a typical Japanese traditional meal. But even in most restaurants, they actually only serve you the amount that will probably make you 80% full. You might be saying like, what the frick? I want to be full when I get that Japanese food when I go to Japan. I want to eat that tonkatsu like Goku in his prime. But Japanese culture, like I mentioned, as a whole, value portion control, but the taste won't be worse. It will taste just as good, trust me. And to further prove this point, if you go to Japan and go to the fast food again like Mickey D's or Starbucks, you'll realize that sizes are much smaller. Like I heard the medium sized drink in the US is bigger than the large size drink in Japan. There are studies that back that portion control while eating does actually impact your weight, so it does make sense. And this term, hara hachibume, was coined by the people of Okinawa. And Okinawa people, they're the healthiest or the longest living, not just in Japan, but in the whole world, so I trust the Okinawa people. I've never been there. I would like to go, but I trust them. Habit 3, exercise daily without even thinking about it. So actually walking from place to place is done daily in Japan. Like, of course, cars exist in Japan, you know, Toyota, Honda, but public transportation is very well designed. And because it's so well designed and functioning, like a train will not even be a single minute late. They'll apologize if they're a single minute late. Most people would just take the public transport. So they would walk from A to B, which B would be the public transport. Then they would move around in the public little densha, and then they'll walk from the stop of the train station to the place they have to go. And because of that little walking in between public transportation, they'll be walking more than they ever imagined. And this concept of walking and exercising without thinking is further enforced all the way from when you're 3 years old in kindergarten. I remember when I started kindergarten in Japan, I would put on my little fancy outfit, you know, of course the little cap. I would put that hat on if it's a field trip, of course. And I would walk to the kindergarten from my house along with the other kids. If you ever watch Old Enough or actually Hajimete no Otsukai on Netflix, you'll know as soon as you're turned 3 with that diaper on, you'll be walking, you'll be getting that otsukai, you'll be getting that cucumber for your mother, you'll be getting that fish. So they'll make you walk. They'll make you walk. You better believe you'll be walking around age 3 with your diapers on so that you get that fish for your mother. And this way of incorporating walking into your daily life is for sure significant, and not just health. Like a lot of philosophers like Nietzsche, Kant, Thoreau, Rousseau, all incorporated walking in their lives. It's true, look it up. Also, they like bicycling, jitensha, from point A to B. So if you prefer bicycling, no problem with that. There's bicycle stops or places to park your bicycles everywhere. Habit 4, always eat the color of the rainbow daily. Now, I'm not talking about Fruit Loops or Skittles, but I'm talking about the gift from the mountain and the ocean. Yamato umi no sachi. Like, if you look at a really traditional Japanese cuisine or a meal, especially like kaiseki, which is from like Japanese onsen, you will realize how colorful the meal is. And they're not artificial colors, like they're actually the color of each of the food. You might get a little ebi, which is red shrimp. You might get a little tamagoyaki, a little yellow. You might get a little octopus, kind of purple. Little pickled pink thing, a little matcha for green. It covers all the scale of the color chart. And this is because with Japan being an island country and mountain in the center and ocean nearby, they were able to get food from basically the mountain and the ocean in a relatively shorter distance. And that allowed for cuisine to mix both the Yamato Umi no Sachi, which allowed for the color of the rainbow to be expressed. And the reason variety of food is important is that I do get vitamins are important, calcium, protein is important, but there's other key nutrients in a bunch of different food that you don't even think about sometimes. So it's probably better to eat a variety of foods, healthy food, so that you know that your body is getting all the nutrients it probably needs. The conscious effort to abide by this rule definitely help people be pretty healthy. Habit 5, important one, always have discipline. Now you might have heard or seen Japanese sumo wrestlers and realize how rather large they are. And you might be saying they must be eating McD's and the cheesy gordita crunch you just talked about, right Matsu? False. They just eat chankonabe. And chankonabe is basically a hot pot with mostly vegetables and a lot of meatballs. But it's pretty healthy. It's actually whole food hot pot. And the reason why they are rather large is because they eat like 3 hot pots 3 times a day. So it is a lot of food, and they're definitely gained healthy fat, but for sure there are some negative consequence to it. They don't have visceral fat, which is like fat between your intestines, but still, because they're so large, they have some risks associated with that. So I would say they gain all that weight in the most healthiest way possible, but still there's definitely negative effects like I just said. So after sumo wrestlers retire, they have to muster all that discipline they used to gain the weight to lose all the weight so that they could enter the healthy weight again because they're not exercising as much. A master of discipline within this sumo wrestling realm, through my eyes, is Takanohana Koji. And he reached the top level of the sumo wrestler industry, being called a yokozuna. And after he retired, he managed to lose 160 pounds, and he went from the sumo wrestler yokozuna to losing 176 pounds. Now that's discipline. And also, sumo wrestlers are definitely one of the hardest sports. You might think it's they just push each other. It's pretty hard. Their training is intense, and they're actually to gain all that weight just by eating chankonabe is very hard too. So understanding all those elements, you realize how much discipline sumo wrestlers had. But maybe we could learn a lot. Maybe we could learn a thing or two from sumo wrestlers. I did. In kindergarten, there was a sumo wrestling tournament, and I won. When I was 5 years old, I won, and that's how much I care about. I didn't pursue my sumo wrestling endeavors after that. I retired then, but I respect the sport. Subscribe to join the Nakama, and peace.